Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of Book Time with Elvis with me, Mark. And I come to you today with another tag, and this tag is the Books and Life tag created by Steve Donoghue. Of course, the link to his video, his original version, will be below in the comments. I wasn't tagged directly by anyone, but this was an open invitation. So Steve basically tagged everybody. So I watched a few of other people's versions of this tag and found it very enjoyable. So I decided to do it myself. So let's have a look at the prompts. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a normal person and 10 being the late Harold Bloom, how much are books and reading a part of your life? Well, if I can talk about only my so-called me time, then of course books are a huge part of my life, at least a 7 out of 10. I read a couple of hours each day, usually at night when Elvis has toddled off to bed. Though now I'm on summer holidays, and so I have a lot more time to dedicate to reading, so I can find that I will read quite a bit during the afternoon, especially when the weather is like it is today. It's grey. You can probably see the light changing on here. It was really dark earlier and we had some thunderstorms again, and also conversely, if it's too hot, I quite like to just melt and read. Elvis is quite sensitive to the heat, I suppose, like a lot of dogs, and I worry because I've seen him, I don't know if hyperventilate's the right word, but I've certainly seen him on the verge of overheating before on a day that wasn't particularly hot, at least for me, but certainly he started to find it uncomfortable, so I'm a bit worried about that. So we tend to go out just kind of earlier in the morning and later in the evening rather than during the middle of the day, because he's wearing a big fur coat all the time, really. So anyway, yes. So at least a 7 out of 10. Number 2, where does your personal library stand right now in relation to the rest of your life? Do you have more books now than you have ever had? Fewer, and how? Or fewer? Question mark. How has your library changed? Well, my library is currently undergoing a bit of a rebirth. I had to leave many books behind in England when I moved here, and then last year my parents decided to downsize and move house, and of course they culled not only their books but a large number of the books I had left behind as well. We did go through it online, and they did decide. I wouldn't say gave them permission to do it, because of course it's their house, and they were kindly looking after it, but they didn't throw anything, hopefully. At least I haven't been back yet, so I don't know, but they haven't thrown away anything that I particularly needed to keep, and a lot of what I had I have since acquired on ebook, so it's not too bad. Though since I started on BookTube, I have experienced a kind of what's the word? Resurrection, is that the right word? In terms of acquiring books, as well as a diversification of my reading material. So it's been a wonderful thing being on here. It has encouraged me really to branch out into reading things that I otherwise wouldn't have done. So I can say, although my library is a little larger than it was when I moved here 9 years ago, it's nowhere near the heights that it was when I was in England, but it's certainly more varied and diverse, so that's a good thing. I'm hoping to build a house here. I've acquired some land, or bought some land. I'm just currently looking for a builder, which of course in this time isn't very easy, and prices are a bit crazy because of problems with supply and demand due to the COVID epidemic. So it's taking a bit of time. So I hope within a couple of years I will have a house, in which case I will have more space, and that of course will encourage me to really seriously rebuild my library. though I do have a really large number of ebooks. So I have a large virtual library, although, of course, that isn't very impressive when you have visitors. Oh, look at my Kindle. Look how many books I've got. Number 3. Oh, okay, it fits in. Take a mental step back and ask yourself, what is the most likely first bookish impression a newcomer would have in your home? Well, immediately upon entering my flat, I think they wouldn't have any idea at all, because in the hallway I've got pretty much nothing. A few dog toys on the floor, some boxes and kind of junk that's left over from when my sister was here, and not much else really. So if of course they accompanied me to the office, then they would see at least one wall taken up by bookcases. What impression would they have? Well, I don't generally have well, actually that's not true. I suppose as a teacher, when I had private lessons, the first lessons I would have with people, they would have been strangers and they would have come in and they might comment, but generally not. I do have a couple of checkbooks in there, and I think that catches people's eye because they think, oh, you read them? And I'm like, no, they're really just for decoration. I can't read them yet. So, yeah, I think that's it, really. They wouldn't necessarily think I was a big reader just by looking at the flat. Number 4, how often, if ever, gulp, do you clean or reorganize your books? I have to say very rarely, besides the odd dusting here and there. Funnily enough, though, I did actually jig the shelves around a bit last week. I decided to move out all of my teaching books into the spare room and just concentrate on my books that I read for pleasure. And plus, I started to do some shelf tours, and it would look better than just having loads and loads of English textbooks and things like that. So there's no sense of organization, though, in terms of things sorted out into genre or alphabetical order, etc., things like that. So it's pretty much maybe a little bit due to size and how they fit together, but there's no real organization. I just throw things in there. Maybe one day I will do it, but it's only me, and I generally know what I'm looking for, and it's not, as I say, a huge amount I have to go through. Number 5, on average, how many books do you acquire in a given week? Well, averaged out throughout the year, I would say at the moment it stands between 1 or 2 books a week, and that's not including ebooks. I take big advantage of the sales and things when they're on with Amazon, and I have a general rule: I'll never buy an ebook that's more than £1.99. I don't really understand why ebooks sometimes are priced at more than the physical copy of a book, or even the same price. I think they should actually encourage people to read more ebooks, because of course it must be better for the environment. You're not chopping down so many trees or pulping them to make paper and things like that. So I don't know. I think in the UK, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure it used to be at least the case, there was no VAT on books. But they did put it on ebooks, so but when they're on sales like 99 pence or £1.99, it's fine. But anything over that, unless it's something I really desperately want, I begrudge paying that for an ebook. So I would probably then buy the physical book, because maybe it's just my kind of crazy mind, but it feels more tangible. You can hold something in your hand as a physical copy of something when you paid a lot of money for it. So there you go. Number 6, what song is your current earworm? Well, when I first thought about doing this tag, my earworm at the time was Sweet Caroline by Neil Diamond, because it was played quite a lot throughout the Euro 2020 football championship. And of course during the England games, and it's one of those songs that does stick in your head. Though I would say for the last couple of days it's changed. It's been replaced by Boccherini's La Musica Notturna di Madrid Passacale, which many of you know as the ditty from the last scene of the film Master and Commander, which, strangely enough, I haven't actually watched recently, but YouTube recommended recommended the tune to me, and I think it's a jolly little piece as well. I'll leave a link below if you don't know it. It's a very nice piece of classical music. Number 7, what percentage of your self-control do you retain in a well-stocked bookstore? Sorry. Well, you can probably see from my physique rather, that I'm not someone who really exercises a lot of self-control in life. However, I'm not too bad these days when it comes to buying books, but that's mainly due to the constraints of space. I used to be much worse. When I have a lot of space, I have to fill it, and books is a joyous thing for me to use to fill that space. So, not having as much space, I'm forced to exercise self-control, at least with buying physical books. Might not be the case when it comes to ebooks, as long as they're under £1.99, of course. So yeah, once I move to a larger abode, then perhaps that self-restraint and control will go out the window again. We'll see. Number 8, do you ever feel the need to take a break from books? If so, what form does it take? Not really. I've had 2 big lulls that I can remember in my life when it comes to reading. One was that period between 20 to 23 when I was busy with university. I was still reading things, of course, but they were mostly to do with my degree. Luckily, when I moved to Japan to teach English for a bit, my reading kind of restarted with a vengeance, and I was very lucky because, I was living in a small town in Hokkaido. Winter is very long, so I had to fill that time somehow, and reading was part of it. And a lot of the other expats I met there were also readers. We had a small community, probably no more than about 7 of us. They were mostly Canadians or Americans, and they were pretty much all readers, and we used to trade books, discuss those books, and discuss a lot of things to do with books, and that was great. And probably it's really the only time in my life where I had that with a real life community where we face to face could discuss books, and not academic books, but just books of all types. Though, luckily, of course, when I joined BookTube, I had this opportunity. Though, of course, I use the term, when it comes to BookTube, I use the term face-to-face rather loosely. The second time that I experienced a lull was quite recently. It was last spring, during the first COVID wave. And it rather surprised me because I thought with a lot more time on my hands, I would use that to read, and I didn't. I just didn't feel like it. It was strange. I couldn't really concentrate. Perhaps because it was so early on that I thought we were all going to die and stuff anyway. So, using my last moments on Earth, I just decided to watch a lot of Netflix, Prime, and HBO Go, which is rather unusual for me. So there we go. Number 9, when you meet a new person, how long does it take for you to bring up books? Well, it depends on the person. Usually I try to get the measure of them, of course, and then if I decide they are a bookish individual and also readers, then I'll bring up books as quickly as possible because, of course, it's something I would like to talk about. But as many have said on here already, it does seem in real life, inverted commas, proper readers are few and far between, which of course is another reason to be thankful for this wonderful community we have here on BookTube. Number 10, have you given any thought or made any provisions for your personal library after you croak? Thought yes, provisions no, but I plan to have myself sealed up in my house with my books, as if it were a giant mausoleum. No. Of course, on a serious note, I'm a bachelor. I don't have children. I don't have any nieces or nephews yet. And to be honest, I plan to outlive everyone I know. So, so no one to give it to. So probably what I would do then is donate it to the school that I work at, or even as well the local library to kind of bolster their English section. And of course, those they don't want will most likely just be thrown away, or whatever. Though I might be inclined to have a couple of my absolute favourites either entombed with me or cremated alongside me. Because I don't really want to get there. I don't want to get bored in the afterlife. So it'd be nice to have something to read. Perhaps that could be the start of a new tag, a new original tag, couldn't it? The Afterlife TBR or reading list. You know, what books would you take with you into the afterlife? Number 11, the last one. Are you known among your friends and loved ones for your weird and probably unhealthy relationship with books? Yes, though I'm not sure I consider my relationship with them as unhealthy, because of course to me that relationship is perfectly healthy and natural. But yes, I would say most people equate me with books, among other things which I won't mention here. So, but also I would like to say I am very lucky that my parents are also readers, so we do often talk about books and recommend books to each other, which is very nice, because I know some people in their families, they don't have that, so I'm very, very thankful for that. My sister reads too, but not in the same amount, and certainly not necessarily the same types of books, but my mother, father and myself are all quite similar in our reading taste, that we can easily pass books along to each other, which is really nice. So there we go, it's an open tag. I'm not going to tag anyone, of course. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks again to Steve for creating this, and I wish you all a fantastic day and look forward to seeing you all next time. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.